guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you guys are here for another fun video. I am Katie and you are watching my 31 days of Vlogtober, and we are on day number 28 now. So yesterday's prompt was a hairy situation, so I wanted to hear about your favorite movies involving hairy creatures. All of mine, full disclosure, are about werewolves because werewolves are actually my favorite creature. So I mean, in the vast realm of demons and witches and monsters, I think that werewolves top my list for favorite creature because, you know, sometimes they're so tragic, they're misunderstood, they didn't choose that life, you know, it was kind of unwittingly bestowed upon them. So I've always been a sucker for werewolf movies, and I'm just going to mention a bunch of them today because, like I said, I am a big fan of this genre. So I'm going to probably touch on a little bit of a pile of movies. So I will get to my picks here in just a couple minutes, but let's dive into my book choice for today first. And this is another fun one. This is kind of it's literally in the title. So this one's called The Ghost Hunter's Field Guide. And it is literally a field guide to kind of navigate you through spooky places that you can go and visit yourself. So I really love this book. It's a huge book. It's very thick and very detailed. So what it does is let's say you're taking a trip and you want to go to, I don't know, let's say the state of Oregon. So you can kind of go through and you'll find the table of contents in here. And then you can kind of just find the state of Oregon. Everything is in alphabetical order here. I should have queued this up before I started my video, shouldn't I have? Okay. I skipped right over. There it is. Okay, so Oregon's only got a couple places that they've got noted on the list, but then they give you a little state map, and it kind of pinpoints the different areas that you can go in order to go ghost hunting in Oregon. So they note places in Astoria, Baker City, Elgin, Eugene, Forest Grove, let's see, Independence, Jacksonville, LeGrand, McMinnville, Newport, Oregon City, Portland, another one in Portland, another one in Portland, a couple in Salem, Troutdale, Wheeler, Wolf Creek. So you kind of get the idea. And then Yachats, and they've got my favorite little beauty right there. That's Heceta Head Lighthouse. So, of course, they're going to talk about the ghost story at my lighthouse. So, I'm going to read this one to you very quickly, if you'll allow. So, Heceta Head Lighthouse. This lighthouse, along with the neighboring keeper's house, is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. They date back to 1894 and are in pristine condition. And that's true because they recently did a restructurization of the lighthouse, I think back in 2014. The lighthouse itself can be toured almost daily. Check their website for hours. Not currently because of COVID, just so you know. It has an adjoining gift shop in the old generator shed. The keeper's house is now a bed and breakfast that you can stay in, though during the day it is an interpretive center. And after you hear the stories about this B&B, you'll want to stay. The old house is said to be haunted by the apparition of an elderly lady that is known as the Gray Lady. Now that's kind of a contentious point. Some people say she's young, some people say she's old. She is known as the Gray Lady, or the Lady in Gray, or Rue. She is thought to be a past caretaker's wife, possibly Mrs. Frank DeRay, and she has made several dramatic appearances over the years. Employees, the on-site caretakers, and guests have all seen this pale spirit floating towards them in various areas of the house, but the hot spots seem to be the second floor hallway, the kitchen, and the attic. Once she was even heard screaming. And then they give the address at the website to Heceta, and then different activities that kind of are going on there. So activity they have listed as A, E, and T, and that's noted kind of in the front. They talk about an activity key, which is this guy here. And so they know A is apparition, C is cold spots, E is audio or EVP evidence. M is mist. N is phantom, sense, or aromas. O is orbs or ghost lights. R is residual haunting. S is shadow shapes. T is telekinetic or PK activity. So that's kind of where they have the activity markers, so you can kind of check it in yourself. Now this of course does not give all the details of this haunting. It's just kind of to entice you to kind of look into it a little bit more and to maybe add it to your list of places to visit. But Hasidah itself is a beautiful story, and I'm gonna take a video and kind of dive a little bit further into it because I absolutely love it. Of course, I mean, I've talked about Hasidah before. She is the top tier lighthouse that I want to visit that I have never seen in person. So it's been decades of me patiently waiting to visit this lighthouse. So yeah, Rue is an incredible story. They note that she could be Miss Frank Del Rey, but there's a lot of stories. She could be a past lighthouse keeper's wife. I've heard tales that she, you know, had been pregnant, lost her baby, and still gave birth, and then mourned the loss of this child. She wouldn't let it go. She carried this baby around until people physically had to come take the baby away from her, and then they buried it in an unknown location so that she could not kind of go and find it. I mean, just tragic tales. And like I said, I don't know if that one's true either, because there's so many tall tales or urban legends that surround Rue, so nobody really knows for sure. But then another place they don't mention where they see the hauntings, she is seen quite often in the Victoria room in the bed and breakfast. So the way it's set up is they have names for each room in the house. So if you go on their website to try and stay the night at the Hasidah Head Lighthouse, you can go into the Mariner 1 or the Mariner 2 room. You can go into the Victoria room, and all of them have certain little things about them. You know, the Mariner rooms are the biggest rooms. They have direct views to the ocean. You can get the Lightkeeper's room, which is the one I one day will be in, but it has direct view of the lighthouse. So it's an amazing place. If you've not looked up Hasidah Head Lighthouse, I implore you to do that because it is just gorgeous. And I think Oregon kind of is low man on the totem pole when people are looking at places to vacation, but man, oh man, I've been researching Oregon for probably 2 years now in my feeble attempt to try and go and visit it this past May, which didn't work out so well because of COVID, but it is a beautiful state. There are so many wonderful things to see. You know, not only big city Portland, but Eugene and Salem have wonderful activities. Down in Ashland, Oregon, they have a Shakespeare festival, and it's like they have a whole area that's kind of devoted to, you know, Shakespeare in the park and things like that. Crater Lake is in Oregon, and it is the largest freshwater lake that's kind of like inland, and it is gorgeous. And then of course all along the coast of Oregon, come on, you can't beat the views, man. I'm stunned every time I go and look up information about that state. So one day I'll get there. But yeah, so that is my pick for a book today. So it gives you a lot of fun little reference points, places to visit, what you'll kind of run into if you go to these locations. So really enjoy this book, and I think that you would too. So that's my pick for my book today. Now, movies, like I said, this is going to be a long one because I'm going to probably detail a little bit of information about all of these. But I want to start with the 1941 Wolfman, of course, because it, you know, kind of started it all, aside from, you know, what was the other one? I can't remember the name. Werewolf in London. The Werewolf in London, I think. I talked about it before, and now my brain is farted out. But Wolfman, for me, is one of the all-time best werewolf films. Lon Chaney Jr. was absolutely incredible in this film. His transitions to become the Wolfman, he is such a tragic character. You know, Lawrence Talbot is kind of a jerk character to begin with. Like, you really don't have any feelings for him. One way or the other doesn't matter. And once he gets bit, and you kind of see a transition, and I don't know, I always feel very attached to these characters that unwittingly get bit by something they had no control over, and now they're going to change into something they, again, have no control over. It's kind of a terrifying thing, but certainly tragic, and Lawrence Talbot does become kind of a tragic character in a way. I love that they incorporated Lon Chaney Jr. and Bela Lugosi is in this. He plays one of the gypsies. I know that's not really a PC word to use anymore, but I mean that's kind of the terminology they use, these Romanian gypsies. And so Bela is playing a character named Bela, and he is traveling along with Maria Ouspenskaya's character, who plays Maliva. And so Maliva and Bela are these two gypsies that they kind of have like an encampment, and Lawrence stumbles upon it, gets bitten by the werewolf there, and it comes to find out that Bela was the werewolf. So it's a fascinating movie. Like I said, it's really well acted, I think, from everybody in it. Maria Ouspenskaya is my favorite in that movie. She's incredible. If you've not seen the original 1941 Wolfman, please go do that. It's literally like maybe an hour and 10 minutes long. It's not very long at all, but it's definitely worth your time. It is absolutely gorgeous. So that's pick number one. Like I said, I got a pile of them today, so we're going to just keep plowing through. I want to talk about the 2010, or the 2010, yes, 2010, Wolfman, that starred Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins and Emily Blunt. Oh my God, I love this movie. I don't know why it got kind of shit on, when it first came out, and I can't understand why. I was absolutely floored by this movie. The Wolfman transformations are stunning, and I mean, it's CGI party in this movie, of course, because that's what they've transitioned to anymore. Practical effects have kind of gone the way of the dinosaur, unfortunately, but they are the primo way to do a Wolfman movie. But that being said, this movie is atmospherically gorgeous. The plot is incredible. You've got the same characters as the 1941 version. So you've got, John Talbot and Lawrence Talbot, and he's coming back to town because he finds out that his brother is gone missing. Emily Blunt plays his brother's fiance or wife. I can't remember which one it is, but so it brings back Benicio del Toro's character of Lawrence Talbot. And so he gets kind of brought back into this world that he's been trying to leave behind, and of course he gets bit by a wolf. And this movie really kind of flips the script a little bit, because you find out that the Wolfman is not somebody that you expected, the person that transformed Benicio del Toro's character. So that kind of reveal I always thought was unbelievable. So I definitely recommend you check this out. There is also, I just found on the internet, on YouTube the other day, when I was kind of researching for today's video, there is a deleted scene out there that kind of goes over the Wolfman stumbling upon a masquerade party. And there's this beautiful woman she's a blind opera singer, and so she's there singing and kind of lulls the Wolfman. Like, she draws him into this party, and he's kind of, tamed for a minute, and then once somebody's trying to get his attention and pulling on his arm to try and get him to leave the stage, to get away from the singer, then he goes back into full Wolfman mode, you know what I mean? And it was such a beautiful scene. Like, I'm so sad they cut it out of the movie. It was incredible. So I definitely recommend you look that up. I may find the video again, and I'll put the information in the link below so you can check it out. If you're interested in the Wolfman, definitely see it. It is so, so good. So my next movie I want to talk about is Silver Bullet, which was a 1985 film that starred Corey Haim and my beautiful girl, Megan Follows. She's from, Anne of Green Gables fame back in 1985 as well. And so this is a Stephen King film based off of one of his novels, and it kind of goes over this child who has been, he's disabled, he is in a wheelchair, and played by Corey Haim, and his sister is Megan Follows' character. And, you find out that there is a something's going on in the town, and Corey Haim's character is literally confronted with the wolf. And so it's the trying to find the process of figuring out who the wolf is so that they can kill him. And Gary Busey stars in this movie, but he doesn't play typical Gary Busey. I mean, like, he's crazy Gary Busey, but like toned down crazy Gary Busey. I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, back in the day, he wasn't the Gary Busey we all know, but he was really entertaining in this movie, and I definitely recommend that you check out Silver Bullet too. I also want to talk about this, well, I'm going to just touch on these. Ginger Snaps, The Howling, An American Werewolf in London, An American Werewolf in Paris. These movies are so entertaining, every single one of them, and like I said, I just love werewolves. I think that they are so tragic and so entertaining. And yeah, I am floored by them every single time I see a werewolf movie. I think they're just so fun to watch. Every time one comes out, I'm like, all right, we got another one. But American Werewolf in Paris, I want to just give a shout out to, because that movie stars Tom Everett Scott in it, and I love Tom Everett Scott. So he went on, he did That Thing You Do, he was in La La Land recently, he was on a TV show recently, I can't remember the name of it all of a sudden, like the Academy of Dads or something like that. I don't remember, but he's been in a lot of things. He was in Dead Man's Campus back in the day. He was in a lot of those, 90s teen type films, but American Werewolf in Paris I always enjoyed because it was a quintessential 90s horror film about werewolves. But Tom Everett Scott, like I said, I love him. I actually got to meet him when I was in high school. I was working at a Starbucks on the the Turnpike, and he came into my travel plaza. So it was incredible. And so I was the only person working that knew who he was. He came in, he just got a cup of coffee, and I'm sitting at the bar, and I'm like, wait a second. It's Tom Everett Scott. I know it. And so I didn't get a chance to interact with him at the counter. And so he went over and he was putting, cream and sugar in his coffee. And I'm sitting at the bar going, do I say anything? Do I not? Do I say anything? Do I not? So finally, of course, 16-year-old me is like, excuse me, sir. And there is this older woman standing next to him. And I know he knows what I'm going to say. Like, I know he has figured out that I know who he is. And he's trying to ignore me, and the old lady sitting next to him smacks him on the arm, and she goes, hey, she's talking to you. And I'm like, oh no, oh no. I felt so bad. I was like, I didn't want that to happen. I'm so sorry. And then stupidly, like you do when you don't know what else to say, I go, hey, has anybody ever told you you look like Tom Everett Scott? And he goes, oh yeah, I get that all the time. And I was like, oh, well, are you? And he goes, no. And I went, oh, okay. Because I was like, we were both in that, I get it. All right, you don't want to get, I get it. And he kind of gave me a smile, and he's like, hey, what's your name? And I said, Katie. And he said, Katie, it's nice to meet you. He leaves. So we had a lineup of people in the cafe. And so I'm like, okay, all right, I get it. He doesn't want to be bothered, and I respect that. So I'm sitting there chatting with my other co-barista at the time, and I'm like, no, that was totally Tom Everett Scott. It was totally him. I know it. And all of a sudden, I hear Katie, and I look over the bar, and he's back because our line has gone away. And he's like, do you want an autograph? And I'm like, yes! So he was so nice and genuine, and so huge shout out to Tom Everett Scott. My dumbass, however, decided to have him sign my autograph with a money pen. So he wrote, to Katie, thank you for being so nice, Tom Everett Scott. And then, like money pens do, the ink vanished. So I have the memory, it's in my brain forever, but I do not have a Tom Everett Scott autograph anymore. So you live and you learn, I guess, and stupid. But that is a fun little side story I figured you should know about. Anyway, let's go back to the werewolf movies. Okay, so my other one I really want to talk about today is, and this is gonna be, I'm gonna be made fun of for this, I know it, but I enjoyed the hell out of this movie, and this is Cursed. This is the Wes Craven film from 2004. It stars Christina Ricci, Jesse Eisenberg, Milo Ventimiglia is in this, Joshua Jackson's in this, and Craig Kilborn and Shannon Elizabeth, Nick Offerman's in this film. A bunch of just, you know, crazy of the time actors. And this is so entertaining. Oh, and Judy Greer is in this too. So Judy Greer has, of course, gone on to many films. Recently, she was in the newest Halloween films. But this is such a funny, entertaining horror werewolf homage film. I mean, like, Wes Craven really did a great job in knowing teenagers, you know what I mean? Like, he knew what we wanted to see, and this was such an entertaining ride from beginning to end. I loved every little bit of it. Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg play brother and sister, and they are, you know, confronted by this werewolf that's kind of almost stalking them, you know, trying to get to them specifically. And there is a fun little side story with their dog. They work, well, Christina Ricci's character works for like a production company that is shooting Craig Kilborn's show. So if you remember Craig Kilborn back in like the 90s and early 2000s, so it kind of had that undertone to it, and it's just wildly amusing from beginning to end. The werewolf effects in this are absolutely incredible. There's a great scene in a bathroom with Christina Ricci's character that, if you've not seen the movie, you definitely need to. And I recommend, if you're going to try and find a copy of this movie and see it, that you get this version. This is the uncut, kind of really more gorier version of the film, because when it came out initially, of course, they're trying to, you know, market to teenagers, and so they slapped a PG-13 rating on it, and this version brings it right back to an R, and it's fabulous. It's entertaining as hell, and I definitely recommend that you watch this, because I think that if you are a fan of this genre of horror movies, you'll find it wildly entertaining, and it's, like I said, it's definitely one that you shouldn't miss. So I think that's the last one I need to talk about. Is that all of them? I mentioned Cursed, I mentioned Silver Bullet, and Wolfman, and the 2010s Wolfman, and Ginger Snaps and The Howling, and American Werewolf in London, and American Werewolf in Paris. American Werewolf in London I could talk about all day long, because it revolutionized, you know, the werewolf movie. All of those incredible effects, all these werewolf effects in general. People that do werewolf effects are brilliant. I mean, you can't even say a werewolf movie and not mention Rick Baker's name. Rick Baker is such a visionary, a revolution. He is, he's extraordinary. I give a lot of thanks to Rick Baker for instilling so many nightmares into my life. So, big shout out to Rick Baker, apparently. And here's a pile of movies that you need to see. So, let's go over them one more time. So, Cursed, and Silver Bullet, and 1941's Wolfman, and 2010's Wolfman, and Ginger Snaps, The Howling, An American Werewolf in London, and An American Werewolf in Paris. So those are my pile of movies for today. I'm so sorry. I know that I get a little crazy, but this one I knew I was going to talk a pile about, because I love werewolves. I love them. I love them. So, quickly, I want to touch on my TV series for today, and this is one that I recently discovered on Amazon Prime. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can stream this right now. You can't watch every single episode of this for some reason. They've kind of got some of them on the, you have to pay for this episode, but this one is on Prime. I don't know, whatever. But this is a series called 100 Years of Horror, and it's kind of hosted by Christopher Lee. So, that alone, when you say Christopher Lee is attached to a project, okay, what is it? Sign me up. I want to watch it. You know, I mean, he had these wonderful movies back in, you know, the 60s with the Hammer films playing Dracula. He was in the Lord of the Rings series. He was in Sleepy Hollow. He's been in so many incredible films. So you just slap Christopher Lee in something and you go, all right, I'm buying it, whatever it is. Put it in the cart, I've got it. So this kind of details the, you know, years of horror. It was from 1996 is when this premiered. So of course, from 1996 on up, you don't have any movies included in that. And that's probably the only downfall of this series, is that it's dated. But they have episodes that are specific to Dracula and his disciples, Frankenstein and his friends. You know, they've got other ones, werewolves. Boris Karloff has his own episode, ghosts, witches, scream queens, mummies, zombies, and they even do an episode about dinosaurs, which kind of like, you know, bridges the gap a little bit. They bring in like Godzilla and stuff like that. There's giants, there's aliens, there's just a pile. And if you are such a fan of horror like I am, I think you would absolutely love to watch Christopher Lee wax poetic about these different elements of the genre. You know what I mean? It is so entertaining, and I absolutely loved sitting and watching them. And I am a big fan of any of those like documentaries from the History Channel or Travel Channel. And back in the day, you know, they used to have ghosts, a haunted history, kind of like, you know, a 45-minute documentary that they would show on Travel Channel or History Channel. And they have Haunted History. That is one of my favorite series of all time. I didn't even think about putting that really in a series format on my Vlogtober, but it would kind of perfectly fit too, because each episode of Haunted History, you know, they took you to Haunted Savannah, they took you to Haunted Atlanta, they took you to Haunted St. Augustine, or, you know, New York City or Chicago or San Diego, or all of these wonderful places, and then they dive deep into the history. So I just thought that was incredible. But the 100 Years of History is along the same vein. You know, it's going back, it's diving deep into the origin, the history of these things, and I really love them talking about Frankenstein and the mummies and all of these incredible characters, you know what I mean? So definitely recommend that you check out 100 Years of Horror, currently streaming, like I said, on Amazon Prime as of October 28th of 2020. So I'm not sure how these things shake out down the road, but of course it's a quick Google search. So I gotta keep stopping myself when I'm saying that things are available for streaming, because they may not always be available for streaming, but you have the tools to go find out where you can find it. So that's all I'll say about that. So we are honing in on 30 minutes. So I'm going to stop. We're done for today. So, I got a pile of things for you to check out. And if you've seen any of these things, definitely let me know in the comments below. I love to hear your guys' comments and your stories, and you guys keep me so entertained and so happy, and I'm so grateful for you all. So I'm gonna put a kibosh on the recommendations for today. Let's get into our pick for tomorrow, and our prompt is made for TV magic. So this kind of is up to you. If you want to do a television series that was kind of maybe like a mini series format, or if you want to talk about a movie that was made specifically for a certain channel, you can do that. A lot of mine, I think, are going to be kid oriented, because there's so many things that came out in the 80s and early 90s that were made for TV gold. So that's what I want to talk about tomorrow, is made for TV. So come up with your ideas, post them down below, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Please subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it really helps me out. I haven't talked about it yet, but I did hit 100 subscribers, and I try not to really like dwell on that, because it ebbs and flows. You know, people subscribe and then they unsubscribe for whatever reason. I know I'm not for everybody, you know, because I talk about witchcraft and things like that, and I definitely respect that, but I've kind of been floating right around the 105 to 108 mark for the last couple days. So I think it's safe for me to say I've hit 100 subscribers, and in 2 months time, I think that is extraordinary, and I'm so grateful for you guys. This is so awesome. So I'm hoping the trajectory just keeps going, and I hope that I'm giving you guys stuff that you like to watch, that you find me, I don't know, remotely entertaining, I guess. But I love you guys, and I'm so thankful for you, and I hope that you're having a good day. You're staying safe, you're wearing your masks, all that good stuff. I'll talk to you soon.